In 1978, on a test track in Michigan, a police sedan hit 133 miles per hour. Not a sports car, not a race car. A four-door family sedan with a spotlight on the A-pillar and room for a prisoner in the back. It reached 100 miles per hour from a standing start in under 25 seconds, and when the timing sheets were compared, nothing else in the test came close. Not the Chevrolets, not the Fords, nothing. That car has been almost completely forgotten. The police sedan everybody remembers came later, wore a Ford badge, and got the credit for a formula it did not invent. And the story of how that happened, how the most dominant police car in American history was erased from the story it created, starts 22 years earlier, with a quiet decision at Chrysler that nobody outside the industry noticed at the time. You will see the engine that made Mopar squad cars the terror of the interstate for a decade. You will see the fleet of real police cars that Hollywood bought cheap and destroyed on camera by the dozen. You will see what happened at that Michigan test in 1978, and why it was simultaneously the greatest triumph and the last stand of an entire era of American cars. And you will see the single statistic that explains why this car should be remembered as the king of American policing, a number so lopsided it seems like a misprint. To understand any of it, you have to go back to 1956 and a change in how police cars were sold. For the first half of the 20th century, there was no such thing as a police car from the factory. Departments bought civilian sedans and modified them, or simply took whatever the low bidder offered. Plymouth had been supplying cars to police since the early 1930s. A 1939 Plymouth Coupe served with the New York Police Department in the distinctive livery of white roof, green body, and black fenders. But these were ordinary cars pressed into service, not purpose-built machines. That began to change in 1950, when Ford introduced the first true factory police package. And in 1956, Chrysler answered in a way that would reshape the industry. That year, Chrysler offered its first official police package on the Dodge Coronet. But Chrysler did something cleverer than building one police car. Plymouth began advertising directly to law enforcement through dedicated police and taxi sales catalogs, and the company sold not a single police car, but a whole fleet of them, tuned for different jobs. There was a low-cost patroller for cities that didn't need speed, and a full-bore pursuit car for the open highway. Chrysler had understood something its rivals hadn't. A rural sheriff and a state highway patrol need completely different machines. So it built a catalog to serve them all. Then, in 1957, Plymouth made its real move, the year it entered the police market in force and began a domination that would last for decades. Plymouth had developed its own police pursuit package, every bit as tough as the Dodge. Equipped with the right engine, a 1957 Plymouth Pursuit was ferociously quick for its day, and it announced that Chrysler intended to own the police business. The formula Chrysler settled on was simple and devastating. Take a mid-sized, relatively light body and offer it with the biggest, most powerful engines the company built. It was the same recipe that would later define the muscle car, and Chrysler was applying it to police work years ahead of the muscle car era. A Ford or a Chevrolet police car of the period was usually a big car with a big engine. A Mopar was a smaller car with the same big engine, and physics did the rest. Through the late 1950s and into the 1960s, the horsepower war escalated fast, and Chrysler's police cars escalated with it. By 1962, Dodge had squad cars in service with 28 different state police departments. In 1963, the Mopar squads got the big block 413 cubic inch V8, 360 horsepower, a massive 470 pound-feet of torque, and a 16-second quarter mile in a full-size sedan loaded with police equipment. By 1965, Mopar squad cars were in use in nearly every state in the Union. And then, in 1966, came the engine that would define the rest of the era, the 440 cubic inch V8, the Wedge. It would remain the top police engine in America all the way until 1978. In its early form, it produced 365 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque from a single carburetor. By 1967, the 440 was available in two forms, a 350 horsepower standard version and a 375 horsepower special cam version. These were not gentle cars. A 383-powered Mopar squad could go from 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds, despite weighing well over 2 tons, a genuinely startling figure for a big four-door sedan in the 1960s, quicker than many sports cars of the day. On the wide-open highways of America, a Chrysler pursuit car with a 440 under the hood was very nearly the fastest thing a civilian was ever likely to encounter. There's a real texture to what these cars were like, and it comes from the people who drove them. One recollection from a Michigan trooper's neighbor captures it. Back in 1965, the Traverse City State Police Post ran Plymouth Furies with the 383 alongside Ford Galaxies with the 390, and the word among the troopers was that the Furies were much faster than the Fords, though the Fords were better in the Michigan snow. That was the trade-off of the era, and speed usually won. It's worth pausing on what actually went into one of these machines, because the Police Fury was far more than a civilian car with a bigger engine. Chrysler's police pursuit package, option code A38, was a comprehensive re-engineering. It added heavy-duty tuned suspension with thicker front and rear sway bars, bigger brakes, wide slotted steel wheels wearing special fabric-belted radial pursuit tires rated for sustained high speed, and a wider track for stability. Under the hood and behind the dash, the abuse-proofing was relentless. A 500-amp heavy-duty battery, a 100-amp alternator, a high-capacity radiator, an engine oil cooler, and available transmission and power steering coolers, all so the car could idle for hours and then sprint to triple-digit speeds without cooking itself. There was even an automatic cutoff that disengaged the air conditioning compressor at high speed so it wouldn't rob the engine. Inside sat a calibrated 140 miles per hour speedometer, not an exaggeration, but a genuine necessity. Every one of those features would later become standard equipment on the police package the Crown Victoria inherited. Now, to understand why this car deserves to be remembered as a legend, you have to understand two things that happened at the very end of its reign. One of them put the Fury on movie screens forever. The other was a single day of testing in Michigan that stands as the last great moment of an entire era of American cars. Let's start with Hollywood, because it's the reason many people have seen a Fury police car without ever knowing its name. In 1980, a film called The Blues Brothers staged what remains one of the most spectacular automotive demolitions in movie history, an enormous, city-wrecking police chase through Chicago, culminating in a surreal pileup of squad cars. The car at the center of it, the Bluesmobile, was a retired police car. And the fleet of pursuing cop cars that piled up, flipped and crumpled by the dozen, were real, decommissioned police Mopars, Dodge and Plymouth squad cars of exactly this era. The production bought them by the lot, cheap, because retired police cars were plentiful and worthless. Nobody in 1980 imagined that a used Mopar squad car would ever be worth preserving. They were driven hard and destroyed on camera by the dozen. As one restorer who preserves these cars today put it, in Hollywood all those ex-Mopar police cars died for our entertainment, a shame, because so few of them survive. Police cars, he said, were never meant to live long lives. They were soldiers who lived fast and died young. It wasn't the Fury's only screen role. Plymouth's police cars of this era turned up again and again as the hapless pursuers in The Dukes of Hazzard, forever cast as the law that never quite caught the General Lee. On screen, the Mopar squad car became shorthand for the cops, even as, in real life, it was the fastest thing wearing a badge. But the real climax of the Fury's story isn't in a movie, it's in a police test. The Michigan State Police have a fitting origin for a car testing legacy. The force was created during the First World War and in its earliest years was mounted on horseback, with no cars at all. According to the department's own law, Prohibition effectively bought the MSP, its first patrol vehicles, seized bootlegger cars, pressed into police service. By the 1950s, the agency was requesting bids from manufacturers, and rather than buy blind, it began testing the low-bid cars to see whether they were fit for duty. As the bids crept closer together, eventually just a few dollars apart, the MSP decided to test every car and pick the genuine best. Their evaluation grew into the most respected police vehicle test in the world, measuring acceleration, top speed, braking and handling in a rigorous, unbiased way. There is a charming detail in how it became an institution. In the early years, almost nobody came to watch, until one manufacturer's representative suggested they serve food. The crowds grew, the tradition stuck, and to this day the competing automakers take turns providing the meals. But the results were deadly serious. When the Michigan State Police crowned a winner, every department in America paid attention. Which brings us to 1978, the year that stands as both the peak and the end. By 1978, the storm clouds were gathering over the big American performance car. The 1973 oil crisis had sent fuel prices soaring. Tightening federal emissions regulations were strangling engines, choking off the horsepower that had defined the previous 2 decades. Downsizing was coming for every full-size American car. Everyone in the industry knew the age of the big block V8 was ending, and in that final year, Chrysler sent its Plymouth Fury, packing the E86 high-performance 440 to the Michigan State Police test for one last stand. If this kind of deep police car history is something you want more of, hit subscribe. What happened was emphatic. The 440-powered Fury did not just win, it dominated. It recorded a top speed of 133 miles per hour and reached 100 miles per hour from a standstill in under 25 seconds, figures that left every other car in the test far behind. No other vehicle came close to its combination of acceleration and top speed. The Fury was the fastest police car in America at the exact moment that being the fastest police car in America was about to become impossible. In the words of one automotive historian, it was the beginning and the end of an era. And here is that statistic, the one that seems like a misprint. In that same triumphant year of 1978, Plymouth captured roughly 80% of the entire United States police car market. 4 out of every 5 new police cars sold in America that year were Plymouths. There is one honest wrinkle worth telling because it makes the Fury more interesting rather than less. For all its straight-line ferocity, this was not a precision instrument. When car and driver ran an instrumented test on a 440-powered police Fury, mechanically identical across the 1977 and 1978 cars, they came away impressed by its brutal acceleration but unimpressed by its manners. The car had heavy oversteer, its stiffly sprung rear axle was easily upset on rough roads and under hard braking, and it managed only modest grip through corners. The Fury was a battering ram, not a scalpel. But for the highway pursuit work that defined American policing in that era, running down a speeder on a long interstate straightaway, a battering ram was exactly what the job demanded. The Fury did the one thing that mattered most better than anything else on the road. So here is the twist that reframes this entire story. We remember the Ford Crown Victoria as the definitive American police car, and it was for its time. But the template that made it a legend wasn't Ford's invention. The rear-wheel drive, body-on-frame, big V8, full-size pursuit sedan, the durable, no-nonsense workhorse that could be beaten daily and keep running, that was the Fury's formula first. Chrysler defined what an American police car should be across the 1950s, the 60s, and the 70s, and dominated the market so completely that the Crown Victoria, when its turn came, simply carried the torch forward after Chrysler faltered. And here's why Chrysler faltered. That very same 1978 Michigan test the Fury won so decisively was, in hindsight, the last hurrah. The big block 440 was gone after 1978, killed by emissions rules and fuel economy standards. Chrysler downsized and soldiered on into the 1980s with the smaller 318-powered Plymouth Grand Fury and Dodge Diplomat, durable, respectable police cars, but a shadow of the fire-breathing 440s that came before. And then, after the 1989 model year, Chrysler discontinued its rear-drive police platform entirely. The company that had invented and ruled the American police car market for over 3 decades simply walked away from it. Into that vacuum stepped Ford. The Crown Victoria took over the exact role the Fury had pioneered and rode it to a police market dominance that lasted until 2011. Ford's Crown Vic is remembered as the king of the American police car for one simple reason. It was the last one standing. It didn't invent the American cop car. It outlived the company that did. So the Plymouth Fury, the car that actually built the template, became a half-forgotten memory, glimpsed in a rear-view mirror or crumpled in a movie pile-up. A handful do survive. Enthusiasts believe that just one 1977 Michigan State Police 440 Fury pursuit car still exists. A big blue machine that once patrolled Michigan's highways was auctioned off cheap during the fuel crisis, passed through the hands of a cab company and a vacationing pilot, and was finally rescued and restored by collectors who refused to let the breed be forgotten. It is thought to be the last of its kind, the sole survivor of the fastest police sedans America ever built before the big block died. Cars like it were, as that restorer said, soldiers who lived fast and died young. This one lived to tell the story. Before the Crown Vic, there was the Fury. It ruled the American road for over 2 decades, and it deserves to be remembered as the king it truly was. This is Badges and Chrome, the channel that covers the police car's history almost forgot. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.